Are you in a new season of your life? Are you stuck and searching for clarity so you can make a career change? Do you just need the courage to switch careers? Are you ready to follow God's plan for your career? Welcome to Choose Your Next Yes. Hi, Kindred. I'm Mel, a career transition coach, mom of grown-ups, coffee lover, and God girl. I've had a lot of big life changes, and I haven't always been clear about God's plan for me. This led to stress and anxiety and a lack of clarity and courage to make a career move. I finally started listening to God's voice to find clarity and peace and stopped being scared to make a move and achieve my career transition goals. Now, my mission is to help you learn to listen to God's voice and know when to say yes to the career you've always wanted and no to everything else. Let me show you how to clarify your purpose and find courage to pursue your personal and professional goals in your midlife and beyond. Throw down your self-doubt, dust off your dreams, Kindred. It's time to reset and refine and reclaim the woman you once aspired to be. Welcome back to the show, everyone. I'm your host, Dr. Mel Vandevort. Today, I have with me all the way from Mexico City, and I had to ask her because in Missouri, we have a Mexico, and so I thought maybe it was a city in the United States. No, it's actually a city in Mexico. So I have Tammy Alvarez with us today. Welcome to the show, Tammy.
Thanks, Mel. I'm so glad to be here. Looking forward to our conversation today.
We are super excited to have you. I am very impressed with all of the things that you are doing right now. You are a CEO of the Career Winners Circle. You are an author. You are a professional keynote speaker. You do so many things. I'm sure I only touched on the surface of the things that you do. Tell us a little bit about yourself, but I want to preface that you are the author of the Escaping the Career Trap, Transform Your Apathy into Ambition, and Never Hate Mondays Again. And I think we can all agree that we don't want to hate Mondays. We want to go to work. We want to be excited about our career, our job, the things that we're doing to make an impact in the world. So tell us a little bit about yourself and then we'll get started.
That sounds great. And thanks for the wonderful introduction. And yes, the Escaping the Career Trap is for anyone who gets that pit in their stomach on Sunday nights. And when you know that you're in the career trap, when you get that Sunday scaries and you're just dreading the week ahead. But for those of you who don't know me, I had spent 25 years of my corporate career in and around Wall Street. And the last 15, I was a C-level executive. And when I left my corporate career about 7 years ago, at the height of my career, I was managing about 2,000 people in 35 countries. My teams and I were known as transformation experts. So when the proverbial building was burning, everybody was running out. My teams and I were running in. And fortunately, in financial services, there's always a crisis. So we were never bored. There was always something to do and something to fix. And I loved my career until I didn't.
Right.
And I remember the day where I didn't realize it at the time, but my career that I'd worked so hard for had received its death sentence because I had this moment where I just stopped caring. And typically throughout my career, I would need to be passionate about one of three things, or it'd be time to make a move. I would need to be passionate about the work we were doing and the impact we were making. And sometimes the work wasn't very interesting. So I need to then be passionate about the people I was leading and the groups I was working with. And sometimes on Wall Street, the people aren't very nice either. And so at the very least, I had to be interested in my own personal growth. And when it was strike three, it was time to be out. And I knew this time felt different. It felt like if I had gone to another organization, it would just be the same shade of lipstick, just on the same sad story. And it was time to make a very big move. And so 7 years ago, I cashed out of Wall Street, moved to a tropical island off the coast of Belize in Central America.
Oh my gosh, that's so exciting.
It was interesting, though, because I got two different responses. Some were like, oh my God, how did you do this? And how do I do this? Mm-hmm. And others were, which I was really surprised about, why are you giving up? And I thought to myself, I'm like, giving up? Like, I am doing the most terrifying thing I probably have ever done in my entire life. And it was by far, in my opinion, giving up. And as an entrepreneur, I made one very specific decision. And that decision was that I was not going to go and sell back into businesses right away. I was going to give myself 3 years, and I was only going to sell to consumers because I knew I was still addicted to the work. And I knew if I had gone back in and sold into the organizations that I had worked for, it would be the same situation, just under my own flag. And I had stopped growing. I had stopped really, innovating. And I just needed that fire lit up again because I did not love Mondays. And as an entrepreneur, I made every mistake you could possibly make, probably twice. And, just finding my way through, I didn't know what a sales funnel was, what email campaigns, I knew nothing. And I had to learn all the things from scratch. Now today, 7 years later, we've got a team of 6 coaches. We're serving, individuals and companies worldwide, and we are helping, individuals and businesses really master the idea that career fulfillment and business success are inextricably linked. And they have to come in that order. So we're helping individuals figure out what's right for me and find, energy in what they're doing again, and passion and fire. And we're helping organizations who are struggling with turnover and employee engagement and all these other areas that are just crushing their business opportunities, and how to reignite the force that's lying dormant within their organizations, because they already have everything that they need. They just don't know how to tap into it. And so that's where we are. Fast forward, a couple of years later, and we continue to transform and reinvent how we serve our market based on the needs that we see happening in the trends in the marketplace.
And that's with pretty much any field, because that's the same in education. It's exactly the same. They have what they need. They just don't know how to manage it or tap into it.
Yes. Yeah, we talk, because I was in Chicago in January of this year. And again, you said I live in Mexico City, so I'm not part of the daily grind. But I was leading a 3-day strategy session for one of our clients. And I got there early. And it was a big building in Chicago. So tons of companies, right? Just probably like 20, 30 companies in this building. So I grabbed a cup of coffee and I sat in the lobby. And I just watched.
Yes.
And I could have sworn the zombie apocalypse invaded Chicago. No one was making eye contact. The feet were shuffling. Everyone was looking down. I was like, this is what the workforce looks like. And this is how they go through their day every single day.
Yep.
And employees don't want to feel like zombies.
Right.
And companies don't want zombies. And if 2 groups of people that are so closely interconnected want the same thing, why is that gap getting so much bigger?
Correct.
And more importantly, how do you fix it? And that's what we've solved here at CWC.
Wonderful. That is amazing. That is so, there's so much within everything that you just said. And I am making that connection to education. I'm an educator, and I've seen that type of work environment where teachers hate to come to school on Monday. Now, the difference is educators are a little more friendly. So even though you come to work and you don't want to be there necessarily because of whatever's happening, either the culture in the building or things in your personal life, or you just had a bad weekend or whatever it is, they're still friendly because we're still dealing with kids. So that's the one difference, because we have to fake it till we make it.
Smiles, everyone, right? Like,
yes. But on the inside, we're sometimes feeling exactly like what you said, feeling like zombies. And Sunday night gets there. And I know teachers have had, they have panic attacks because it's Sunday night and they know they have to go back to school the next day, and they may not be supported, or they're not feeling like they can utilize their skills and their gifts to their full potential. And so there's just so much stuff that you said within that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things people can do that feel disenfranchised with what they're doing today is spend some time thinking about what energizes you, not what you're best at, not what you're most experienced at, not what's most marketable, or even sometimes what's most required. But what are the things that you can do for 12 hours a day and end the day more energized than when you started.
Mm-hmm.
And try and put more of that into your day.
Right.
Because most of the time, we've got some fluidity in our day, in our work, in our career. We can add some things in that really work well for us. So for me, for example, the things that energize me is coaching our clients, coaching our coaches, speaking on stage, doing podcasts. Like, I love this stuff. I can do this stuff for 12 hours a day, and I do. And I'm like, all right, fired up. Let's go. Let's go do some more.
Right.
I'm good at strategy, and I'm good at social media and finances and all the other things that I need to run this business. But after about an hour or so, I'm spinning in my chair, throwing pencils at the ceiling, right? Because it just doesn't energize me. And so for everyone listening, what's the one thing that you love? And how can you add even just a little bit of more into your day? Because a lot of us don't have the luxury of going on this soul searching mission to figure out what fires us up. We can't sell everything and live in a yurt and become a barista. So we've got, adulting we need to do. So what do you do right now? And that's an amazing pro tip to start kicking in and being able to do that. Because Gallup did 2 different surveys that caught my interest. One of their surveys was for global knowledge workers. And they asked how satisfied you were with your job. And to my surprise, 80% of knowledge workers were satisfied. I was like, that's a high number. Like, all right. But then they did a different survey where they asked essentially, how much do you care about what you're doing? And that's the number that went down to 20%. So we've got 60% of our population that is walking around in this apathetic haze. Where good enough is good enough and it doesn't hurt bad enough. I'm getting a paycheck. My boss isn't jerky all the time and all these things. But what happens is this complacency, I think, is the new smoking. Forget about the time you sit at your desk, right? When you sit in that area where you're not energized and you're not being fueled by anything and the impact you're making is waning. Like if you don't notice that pattern and make a change, someone else will make that change for you. And you don't want that.
Exactly. And I tell people all that all the time. If you don't make a decision, someone's going to make one for you.
100%, right?
May not be the decision you wanted to have made.
Probably won't be.
Because your complacency is going to cause you to have someone do it for you.
Well, and especially as, women. And, I think when we go through what I call the, just our second act, we're used to, and I think, speaking as a mom and a daughter and a sister and friends and all that, like we never serve ourselves first.
Right.
We want to make sure everyone else is taken care of. And then if there's a little bit of time left over, we'll do stuff for us. And when our kids go to college, and when, we can suddenly, our days are full or, or empty now, our full days are emptier. We don't know what we want because we've never given ourselves the luxury or the permission to ask. And being at that age and not having a direction is a little uncomfortable. And I'm being kind here. Right. But the reality is everyone feels this way. And we think that everybody has their act together, right? You look on social, everybody's all buttoned up. No one does, right? So there's no shame.
Exactly.
And so looking at the things that energize you, playing to your strengths, like how many times do we look at where our gaps are and start to close those gaps? Like, I'm a procrastinator. I'm not good at this. I need to get better at that. Like all of these things that we need to get better at. And I would say that that's a bad idea. Because if you're not good at it by now, you won't be. And what I'm recommending is that you play to your strengths. So what are the things that you're really good at? Because if you took 20 hours and worked on strengthening your strengths versus taking that same 20 hours and working on closing a gap, best case with a gap is you become adequate. Best case.
Right.
Right. Whereas if you do it to your strengths, now that strength turns into a superpower. And when you're able to use that to make an impact for yourself, your career, for the organization or a business, if that's where you want to go, then that's when that spark hits. And you're like, okay, now I get it. And now I know where I'm supposed to go. And now I can find other strategies to mitigate the things that I'm not good at. And
we call that in education, we call that acceleration versus remediation.
yes.
So we are accelerating. It's better to accelerate because even though you still have some gap areas, you're probably going to close a few of those just by focusing on your strengths. But you're not going to go back and try to remediate all of those things that you are, like you said, probably not going to get great at because you have already been given by God all of these wonderful strengths that He wants you to use in the first place. So tap into the things that God has already given you rather than trying to remediate all of those things that you probably can't get remediated, at least not to become a strength.
Yeah. And it doesn't energize you. Right. Like I had this one client who's like, okay, I'm going to start getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to start working out, and I'm like, I thought you were a night owl. She's like, I am. I hate getting up in the morning. I'm like, then why are you doing this?
Right.
Because someone said I should. So some random stranger in a book written for everybody says you should get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, that's a terrible idea. And she's like, but we get so trapped in the things that we're supposed to do and the things that other people are telling us to do versus saying that doesn't serve me.
Right.
When I was younger, I used to, lead sales teams.
All right, everyone, we're going to stop there for today. And we're going to pick up my conversation with Tammy Alvarez next week. Same time, same place. I hope you have an amazing weekend and you get some rest and relaxation. Maybe do something a little bit fun. I think the weather's supposed to cool off here in Missouri. And I get to go to my aunt's wedding. She's in her 70s. Her husband passed away a couple of years ago. And she reconnected with one of her high school boyfriends recently. And they are just moving forward. They decided there is no time like the present and life's too short and they don't have a lot of time left to waste. So they are getting married this weekend and I'm super excited to attend their wedding. So I will see you back here next week. Bye-bye.